Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and flowers, in fact, any plant that is fragrant and colourful, is pollinated by bees. In their endless search for nectar, swarms of honeymakers spread pollen to make grain, needed to feed livestock. Bees across the world have been in danger of the Varroa mite, which causes colonies to collapse. Up until now, Australia has been quarantined, but Senate committees across the country are hearing submissions from beekeepers on threats facing the honey industry. Nicholas Adams reports.
In Bruce White's northwest Sydney backyard, native and introduced bees live side by side, but another incursion could see our healthy domestic bees affected by deadly parasites.
We need to keep exotic pests and parasites out, and we need more government intervention and support. State Departments of Agriculture had apiary officers, had regulatory officers, and now they're declining to the extent where they're virtually ineffective because of the staff numbers and the cuts that government departments have put across all primary industries, but in particular beekeeping. Beekeepers are helpless because bees fly and go to other properties. There's no fences. You can't control a disease in a beehive like you can in stock by isolating stock, because bees will forage over 4 or 5 kilometres at least. And that's why there needs to be independent disease control regulations in place where people can look at other people's bees with authority that are government officers to make sure bees aren't diseased. The most serious disease of bees is American foul brood. Does not have any effect on human health, but the spores live 40 or 50 years. It and anthrax are the longest known spore-forming bacteria known to man. And then we've got the threat of 3 exotic parasites that can come in: acrin, trobolalaps and varroa mites. And we need to keep them out. If they come into here, it'll completely change the structure of beekeeping and put an horrendous cost on beekeepers, because each individual hive has to be treated to control those pests, otherwise the hives die.
In America, colony collapse disorder is thought to be caused by varroa mite.
I gotta fix it. I don't have time to take it personally. I know this hive didn't mean to die. I don't know why it died, but I can't fix it. I just gotta move on. I can't mourn the loss of this hive. It's just part of the game.
Here at the grounds markets in Alexandria, a local honey business is proving very viable through its pop-up stalls, boutique marketing, and taste testing.
What they're making is the actual honeycomb in the glass jar. So on our farm, what we do is put empty jars upside down on a normal box beehive, and the bees actually come from the hive up into each jar and actually create the honeycomb from scratch. Basically, Dad wanted to bring the pure nature into the city for those who can't, go and experience nature. He wanted to capture it in a jar. We love coming to the markets to meet, the people who are eating our honey, and so they learn about beekeeping as well. So it's nice and intimate. She's a busy lady, and they get to know the beekeeper and kind of the story behind the business and the family. And my grandparents are also beekeepers, so my dad's parents. So it's kind of been passed down.
And my girls too.
Yeah, a little bit.
The vibrancy of local weekend markets, along with a do-it-yourself attitude, has seen the emergence of rooftop and backyard hives, with urban beekeeping courses on offer in the inner city.
Oh, I think it's just about greening, it's about urban food production and cutting down food miles by making food as close to home as possible. And honey is probably the closest to home you can get.
Doug Purdy has hives in the Royal Botanical Gardens and gives TEDx talks on self-sustainability through urban beekeeping.
We're an island, so the bees are lucky they're protected from the things like Varroa coming overland. But we're by no means safe. The experts say that we will have Varroa here within the next few years. So those problems that are overseas are coming, that just haven't come here yet. But they will. So what we'll do is we'll start spinning it. You can hear it. Can you hear that? It's not rain, that's honey. One of the problems that we've got with the viability of the Australian honey industry is imported honey. So the wholesale price of our honey is quite low because you can import honey very cheaply from Asia, and that's one of the problems. I think maybe an import restriction on Asian honey would be worth considering.
A beehive's like a factory. you just don't get honey out of it. You can produce queen bees, you can sell queen bees. So there's a whole section of the industry that rears queen bees. There's genetic improvement programs. We've got a honeybee quarantine station at Eastern Creek where overseas stock can come in and be reproduced, so we can tap into the best genetics in the world, sell on the domestic market and the export market.
The viability of the Australian beekeeping industry may be to think globally, act locally and export healthy queen bees.